What is going on, my Houston Texans family? Welcome to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben, and as always, we have some news regarding the Houston Texans open head coaching search. They just put in their first request for their second interview with offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, the OC for the New York Giants, who was coming off a fantastic year with them, kind of reviving Daniel Jones' career. Saquon Barkley had a fantastic year. You also got to give credit to new head coach Brian Daboll. I definitely wanted him last year for the Houston Texans. Nonetheless, Mike Kafka has interviewed with 3 of the 5 teams who need a head coach. So this is another well sought after, bright offensive mind guy, and you have to see him as a potential finalist now, right? He's the first one to get that second interview, and a good segue from that, the Houston Texans, they cannot interview Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, or DeMeco Ryans until January 30th. That it's next week on Monday on the earliest, just because they advanced in the playoffs. So I do expect maybe a second interview with defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, who apparently crushed it in his interview. But nonetheless, I've talked about it many times, brighter days being ahead for the Houston Texans, and I'm going to give you my top candidates who I want the Houston Texans to target, who I want them to really focus on. I'm giving you my top 5, and you have to start with the main one who everyone's been talking about, and that is DeMeco Ryans, right? When you look at DeMeco Ryans, he needs to get a second interview. You heard the great things that happened on Friday, the 8-hour-long interview. You just saw what he did against the Dallas Cowboys. Absolutely made the number 1 offense look like an absolute fool. You need that guy in the building. You talk about the culture change that's going to absolutely switch as soon as he steps into the building. It is right there. Number 2, Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning head coach. 10 out of his 15 years are winning seasons. The other ones are not really losing seasons at all. 4 7-9s and 1 8-8. This man talked about expressing his interest for coaching with the Houston Texans. He said absolutely to Colin Cowherd when asked about, the job. I know right now he is rumored to be heavily invested with Denver, but for the Houston Texans to target Sean Payton and view him as a potential head coaching candidate, and also for him to view us as a potential team to coach, you love that. Him and DeMeco, these are 2 strong head coaching candidates. The third one on my list, Shane Steichen, you definitely got to get him a second interview, man. He has just been fantastic every single place that he has been. He's good with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was having an MVP season until he got hurt. Was utilizing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith like no one's business. This Eagles offense, this Eagles run game was absolutely spectacular throughout the whole year, and he was fantastic with Justin Herbert's rookie year. 31 touchdowns to 10 interceptions and 4,300 yards. He was good with Phillip Rivers his last year with the Chargers. Shane Steichen, a bright offensive mind. He is one of the top coaches to be, to be hired in this wave of hiring. Excited for Shane Steichen. You got to give him a second interview. Now, Jonathan Gannon, here's where it gets interesting. Why is no one else liking Jonathan Gannon but the Houston Texans? We almost hired him last year. We had 2 interviews with him. And now this year, we interviewed him once, and throughout the whole process, even though we've talked to all these great candidates, Jonathan Gannon is always being viewed as the favorites for the Houston Texans. I've even said it myself. But why does no one else like Jonathan Gannon? You've heard that he has not done good in his interviews with anyone else. Why is Nick so obsessed with him? Is it the fact that he could kind of control him? We know the potential staff that comes with Jonathan Gannon. It's very good. But it's interesting to me why no one else is interested in Jonathan Gannon as a head coach. Does he deserve a second interview? I don't know. And last but not least, the guy that I mentioned in the first one, Mike Kafka, I have to do my homework on him, and I will be dropping that video when he is interviewed on Wednesday. That's when it was reported by Patrick Storm. Shout out to him. But these are some of my candidates that I want the Houstons to target, right? DeMeco Ryans, Sean Payton, Shane Steichman. That should be your top three. If you want to throw in Jonathan Gannon in there also, you definitely can. Honorable mention, Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator from the Denver Broncos, apparently absolutely crushed it in his interviews, crushed it in every single interview that he was in. I definitely think he is 1 year away, though. However, it will be interesting to see and hear what he thinks about the Houston Texans and his plans for the future. Nonetheless, my top three are DeMeco Ryans, Shane Steichman, Sean Payton. You got to get one of those guys. Gannon's kind of my B. Adriel's kind of my C. And then we talk about Mike Kafka on Wednesday. You guys let me know what you think. As always, go Texans. Y'all have a blessed day.